Chapter 6. And he went out thence, and came to his own country, and his disciples followed him. And when Sabbath was come, he began to teach in the synagogue. And many hearing were amazed, saying, Whence hath this man these things? And what is the wisdom that is given to him? And such works of power are done by his hands. Is not this the carpenter, the son of Mary, and brother of James and Joseph and Judas and Simon? And are not his sisters here with us? And they were offended in him. But Jesus said to them, A prophet is not despised, save in his own country, and among his kinsmen, and in his own house. And he could not do any work of power there, save that, laying his hands on a few infirm persons, he healed them. And he wondered because of their unbelief. And he went round the villages in a circuit, teaching. Verse 7. And he calls the 12 to him, and he began to send them out 2 and 2, and gave them power over the unclean spirits, and he commanded them that they should take nothing for the way, save a staff only, no scrip, no bread, no money in their belt, but be shod with sandals, and put not on 2 bodycoats. And he said to them, Wheresoever ye shall enter into a house, there remain till ye shall go thence. And whatsoever place shall not receive you, nor hear you, departing thence, shake off the dust which is under your feet, for a testimony to them. And they went forth and preached that they should repent. And they cast out many demons, and anointed with oil many infirm, and healed them. Verse 14. And Herod the king heard of him, for his name had become public, and said, John the Baptist is risen from among the dead, and on this account works of power are wrought by him. And others said, It is Elias. And others said, It is a prophet, as one of the prophets. But Herod, when he heard it, said, John, whom I beheaded, he it is. He is risen from among the dead. For the same Herod had sent and seized John, and had bound him in prison on account of Herodias, the wife of Philip his brother, because he had married her. For John said to Herod, It is not lawful for thee to have the wife of thy brother. But Herodias kept it in her mind against him, and wished to kill him, and could not, for Herod feared John, knowing that he was a just and holy man, and kept him safe. And having heard him, did many things, and heard him gladly. And a holiday being come, when Herod on his birthday made a supper to his grandees, and to the chiliarchs, and the chief men of Galilee, and the daughter of the same Herodias having come in, and danced, pleased Herod and those that were with him at table. And the king said to the damsel, Ask of me whatsoever thou wilt, and I will give it thee. And he swore to her, Whatsoever thou shalt ask me, I will give thee to half of my kingdom. And she went out, and said to her mother, What should I ask? And she said, The head of John the Baptist. And immediately going in with haste to the king, she asked, saying, I desire that thou give me directly upon a dish the head of John the Baptist. And the king, while made very sorry, on account of the oaths, and those lying at table with him, would not break his word with her. And immediately the king, having sent one of the guard, ordered his head to be brought. And he went out and beheaded him in the prison, and brought his head upon a dish, and gave it to the damsel, and the damsel gave it to her mother. And his disciples, having heard it, came and took up his body, and laid it in a tomb. Verse 30. And the apostles are gathered together to Jesus, and they related to him all things, both what they had done and what they had taught. And he said to them, Come ye yourselves apart into a desert place, and rest a little. For those coming and those going were many, and they had not leisure even to eat. And they went away apart into a desert place by ship. And many saw them going, and recognized them, and ran together there on foot, out of all the cities, and got there before them. And on leaving the ship, Jesus saw a great crowd, and he was moved with compassion for them, because they were as sheep not having a shepherd. And he began to teach them many things. And when it was already late in the day, his disciples coming to him say, The place is desert, and it is already late in the day. Send them away, that they may go into the country and villages around, and buy themselves bread, for they have not anything they can eat. And he answering said to them, Give ye them to eat. And they say to him, Shall we go and buy 200 denarii worth of bread, and give them to eat? And he says to them, How many loaves have ye? Go and see. And when they knew, they say, 5, and 2 fishes. And he ordered them to make them all sit down by companies on the green grass. And they sat down in ranks by hundreds and by 50s. And having taken the 5 loaves and the 2 fishes, looking up to heaven, he blessed, and broke the loaves, and gave them to his disciples, that they might set them before them. And the 2 fishes he divided among all. And they all ate and were satisfied. And they took up of fragments the fillings of 12 hand baskets, and of the fishes. And those that ate of the loaves were 5,000 men. And immediately he compelled his disciples to go on board ship, and to go on before to the other side to Bethsaida, while he sends the crowd away. And having dismissed them, he departed into the mountain to pray. And when evening was come, the ship was in the midst of the sea, and he alone upon the land. And seeing them labouring in rowing, for the wind was contrary to them, about the 4th watch of the night he comes to them, walking on the sea, and would have passed them by. But they, seeing him walking on the sea, thought that it was an apparition, and cried out, for all saw him and were troubled. And immediately he spoke with them, and says to them, Be of good courage, it is I, be not afraid. And he went up to them into the ship, and the wind fell. And they were exceedingly beyond measure astonished in themselves, and wondered. For they understood not through the loaves, for their heart was hardened. And having passed over, they came to the land of Gennesaret, and made the shore. And on their coming out of the ship, immediately recognizing him, they ran through that whole country around, and began to carry about those that were ill on couches, where they heard that he was. And wherever he entered into villages, or cities, or the country, they laid the sick in the marketplaces, and besought him that they might touch, if it were only the hem of his garment. And as many as touched him were healed.